We're going to build the wall. By the way, Mexico is going to pay for the wall. That's a very interesting thing because these people come off the stage. They say, Mexico's not going to pay for the wall, my competitors. I say, of course they are. We lose so much money.
Right, because he's just going to do it. A man who advises governments and companies on world hotspots has a new one to worry about. And it may surprise you. George Friedman's company is called Geopolitical Futures, and he's worried about, well, the title of the book says it all, Flashpoints, the emerging crisis in Europe. I thought Europe and the European Union had it all together.
They did until a few years ago. Then they had a problem, and they've never solved it. And the problem basically is that the European Union is great at prosperity. In a financial crisis, it has no idea what to do.
And the financial crisis now looming as even more serious because of lower oil prices. Countries that bought, say, German and French products don't have any money anymore.
That's one problem. The other problem is the Italian banking system has 18 to 20% non-performing loans. Fancy way of saying is nobody's paying back the loans.
Right.
And they're all scrambling to figure out what to do because everybody's exposed in Italy.
Now, many of our viewers' eyes are glazing over right now because they don't understand why they should care about that.
Well, this is the largest economic bloc in the world, larger than the United States. If its banking system fails, it'd be like the American banking system failing, and that's going to have huge repercussions around the world.
Does the immigrant crisis in Europe play any role in this? Because huge blocks of young, unemployed men, and we've seen in Paris and in other cities, what happens when they get frustrated and angry.
There are 500 million people in Europe, and we're talking about 1 million or 2 million immigrants. That's a lot, but it's a small percentage. The real problem that we're seeing in Europe is that the European Union isn't functioning. There are a lot of ways to handle this, keep them out, let them in, put them in camps. Nothing is being done because the Europeans can't agree on what should be done. And that really is the crisis more than the immigration.
Now, Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State, could probably name the world leaders and foreign ministers of 90% of the countries in the world. You watch Donald Trump, who is just going to build the wall, and you watch Bernie Sanders, who really doesn't seem to care about this issue. Do you worry?
Well, the President of the United States is really weak. Congress is important. The Supreme Court can block them. In the end, the President of the United States is the figurehead of the country, but he doesn't really run it. On the other hand, Donald Trump will try to run it, and that's going to be the interesting thing. The difference between Donald Trump and all these other politicians, he actually says what he means. What he means may be frightening, but he says what he means, and that gives him tremendous power over Hillary Clinton, who says what the polls say she should.
And as a man who makes a living and is deeply involved in foreign affairs and in monitoring spots around the world that we should be concerned about, does Donald Trump worry you if he were to become president?
Actually not. He's smarter than he looks. And he is doing exactly what he has to do to win this election where nobody trusts the mainstream. My suspicion is that if he wins, he's going to change his behavior dramatically and be much more prudent and careful. This guy didn't make $5 billion by being stupid.
There are other people who are in your business, some for the government, who say, no, what we really need to be worried about is Vladimir Putin and Russia, China and its military expansion. That's what we need to be worried about. You say it's Europe. Well,
Russia is Europe. So one of the things that Europe has to worry about is the clash between Eastern Europe and Russia. So that's part of the whole picture. China itself, that's not able to really threaten anybody. It doesn't have a navy. It's building one. It's talking about one. The U.S. Navy could take on the Chinese Navy and waste it in an afternoon. So it is a potential threat. It is now not a current threat.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We've got, you're going to be speaking at the World Affairs Council, an event today at noon in McKinney at El Dorado Country Club. We have a link to that and to your company and to the book Flashpoints on fox4news.com. Thanks so much for coming by.